Hello, hello. We'll be getting started here in just a few moments. We'll be starting in about a minute or so, guys. Just getting a few things situated. Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be returning to Task Force Admiral, a new game which entered early access a couple of weeks back, which is a sort of World War II Pacific Theater of Operations tactical war game, which allows you to play through the carrier battles of 1941 and 42 in the Pacific from the American point of view in real time. Now, this game is in early access. It's made by Dry Dock Dream Games, published by Microprose, and it originally launched with 2 battles, Coral Sea with 2 scenarios and Midway with 2 scenarios, but as it is wont to happen with early access, they've just released a new scenario, a 3rd scenario, a hypothetical variant of Midway, which apparently is very hard. We have played Busy Morning at Point Luck, which is sort of the historical June 4th scenario. We have played Busy Morning at Point Luck, the hard variant, which is where, like, oh, the Japanese recon flights go off without a hitch, no issues there, and so it's kind of a much more even fight where the Japanese are more likely to get a carrier strike off against you before you hit them. And then there's this scenario, which was just added, called the Flight to Somewhere, ? Another June 4th scenario, another hypothetical, but you can see here the difficulty is 5 stars. The historical Midway is 2 because the Japanese take quite a while to spot you as the Americans, giving you a major edge to hitting them first. Although it is complex because you have 2 task forces and 3 carriers as the American point of view. The Point Luck is a 4-star difficulty, or I guess 3-star difficulty scenario. Why are these out of 4? Why aren't they out of 5? That's a strange ranking system. Anyway, 3 out of 4 stars. And we played that one. We won that battle, but we did lose Yorktown before we managed to hit the Japanese. They did get a good strike off. It just sort of all got intercepted by the Yorktown task force. And then there's this, which is 4 out of 4 stars difficulty. The scenario in particular says, what if Fletcher and Mischer had been right? Originally, Fletcher covered his right flank with a morning search, while Mischer may have sent his aircraft toward a non-existent second task force. Historically, the search proved fruitless and Hornet Strike was wasted, but what about today? So I guess this means the Japanese are either split into 2 task forces. I don't know if they get more carriers. I'm not really sure, but it does say it's more difficult. So let's go ahead and jump in and check this scenario out.
American carrier force stands on the brink of a day that will decide its fate and shape the Navy's legacy for 100 years. Rear Admirals Fletcher and Spruance are lying in ambush northeast of Midway Island on an intercept course with Japanese carrier strike force led by Admiral Nagumo. Yesterday, the enemy invasion force heading for Midway was sighted for the first time, confirming that a massive operation is underway against American forward bases, here and farther north in the Aleutians. According to our estimates and the enemy's operational playbook so far, Japanese carriers are expected to strike Midway's defenses at dawn. Ideally, USS Yorktown with Task Force 17 and USS Enterprise and Hornet with Task Force 16 will unleash hell on the unsuspecting raiding force, if everything goes well. Although American carriers have already engaged Japanese forces, some of our crews remain unseasoned. Hornet's air group in particular is relatively fresh and inexperienced. The same can be said of Midway's defenses, a ragtag collection of squadron detachments. Roughly 100 Marine, Navy, and Army aircraft are concentrated on the tiny strip of sand that is Eastern Island, racing for the blow to come. They know they are bait, but they will not go down without a fight, though their ability to strike a decisive blow remains uncertain. The Japanese force represents the very best they can muster. While we believe that sustained attrition has weakened the elite corps of pilots first revealed in Pearl Harbor, their losses have likely been largely offset by replacements. We expect between 4 and 6 carriers, depending on what the enemy has been able to assemble after their most recent foray into the South Pacific. They took a bloody nose there, but no one can yet say how much that encounter will affect the unfolding operations around the Hawaiian chain. Admiral Nimitz has provided his flag officers with what he believes to be an ideal ambush position designated Point Luck based on the latest intelligence available. After withdrawing eastward during the night, the 2 carrier task forces are now returning to their assigned coordinates. Let us hope our predictions prove correct, but only the morning searches will tell. Your turn to write history. Good luck.
Okay, so that's the briefing. The briefing volume might have been a little bit low for those of you watching live. For whatever reason, alt tabbing doesn't work well with this game, so I can't generally alt out and change the volume, which for the briefing you probably want louder, but for the gameplay, the actual flying volume is pretty loud, so I usually keep it pretty low. And then I can always adjust it in post, but yeah, I'm curious, Inaris, like, I don't think they've modeled the carriers from the Aleutians, but like, I suppose in theory that it's an alternate scenario, right? So either the main Japanese force is split into 2, or there's additional carriers that had historically been deployed to the Aleutians, but are being deployed elsewhere. I suppose that's the only thing I can come up with. Oh, nice. So they added like a little runway icon here on Midway. They hadn't had that previously. I actually kind of like that. And also, since the last time I played, there was an update which allows aircraft from a destroyed carrier or from any base where they can no longer land. They will find another base if it's in range to land at. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and change this task force's speed to 31 knots, I suppose, the max speed, so we can get hopefully in range of our torpedo bombers. And then here. Okay, and we're also going to go ahead and have a new air search. Create a new air search. They've also, I believe, modified the float planes to be maybe a little less effective. Is this Task Force 17 or 16? That's 17. I think they basically just said, hey, they should actually be slower. But I'm still going to use them. Whoa, that's new. can change the width of the route they fly. Okay. All right, we're gonna check a little bit further right. The scenario does say, what if there's an enemy on their right flank? So we are gonna have these guys go a little bit further north of the circled zone where we think the enemy is. The Eastern Island PBYs should cover the southern half of this zone pretty effectively for us. These guys will take off at 4:30. And then just to be safe, I am also going to do a new air search from Task Force 16. And instead of doing float planes for those guys, we will, I guess, I'm inclined to do the TBD-1. It does have shorter range, which is not ideal. That might be too short a range. Can they fly further? No, that's their max range. Okay. I guess we have to do SBDs then. Just to be careful. We'll do 6 of them. I just don't know how far off to the right they'll be, you know? Maybe we should go wide and just do 10. I hate the idea of wasting so many dive bombers, but I really don't know where they're at. They could be north of us for all I know on this scenario. So I hate to use up 10 of our dive bombers from the Hornet on that, but I think we will. Just to be safe. Okay, and then I think they might have introduced a new combat air patrol mechanic. Where do we go for that? No. Can I change the assigned, or is that coming with a... Oh, so I can do a cap this way and not have any rotations, which I actually think is what I want. Because the problem I had before is, like, when you do one rotation, then what happens is if you have 20 fighters and you assign 2 to the combat air patrol, then 4 actually are reserved. 2 will be in the air, 2 will be on the deck, so that when the guys in the air land, you've got replacements for them. The problem with that approach, however, is when the enemy air raid does come, half of your aircraft that are assigned to the cap are not able to scramble because they are reserved. I'm using quotes, you can't see me. They are reserved for the rotation. But if I set rotation to 0, then they'll just fly once and they will not have to worry about the enemy like catching us off guard. So that is actually a much better system, I think, from my point of view, because of how it prevents you from locking down aircraft to deal with presumably a massive enemy air attack that's going to be coming in on you. And then it almost acts like an effective scramble. Can I change the time they take off? Because I don't really want them to take off at 4 a.m. The enemy's not going to be there by that time. Because I'd almost be like, for Yorktown, put 10 aircraft up. Or even half the squadron, maybe 12. Yeah. Because then if I'm in the middle of launching aircraft against an enemy raid that's incoming, I guess I don't need to worry about that. It's going to take the enemy time to spot their aircraft too. So let's get forward a little bit. I'll put them up in the air maybe at like 4:30 or so. And at that point I can prep a flight so that we've got a raid ready by the time we spot anything recon wise. Adam, historically you have great recon, and we know that the enemy probably has a task force in here, but I believe the Americans were worried the Japanese might have their fleet split into 2 task forces or maybe a second task force. That's what it's claiming anyway, that they thought there was a threat perhaps further to their right. And that's the variant. This is a hypothetical variant, so. Glad you liked the last SMS, Tommy. Heard a lot of people say that. All right, so the scout planes are up from Eastern Island. So the Midway scout planes, the PBYs are up. So launching those dive bombers will actually cause Task Force 17 to hang back a bit because they're going to have to turn into the wind to launch those scout planes. That's off of the Hornet, right? So they'll start spotting at 420. Which if they're not spotting till 420, I think we can wait till then to get anybody up. Also, the cap theoretically could shoot down enemy reconnaissance planes before they report your position, although I don't think that's very likely for them to get them before they get the report off. I could slow them down. My goal is to get these guys torpedo bombers in range of whatever they spot. I also like the idea of, and what we had in the previous fight was Task Force 17 effectively acted as a shield for Task Force 16. When the enemy launched their large raid against us, what actually happened was they all focused in on the Yorktown and sank the Yorktown for sure, but it ensured that not a single bomb landed on the Hornet or the Enterprise in that first wave. So it gave us a big advantage that only 1/3 of our striking power was damaged, whereas we actually effectively knocked out 3 Japanese carriers on our strike. All right, so we're spotting. I'm assuming it's not very light out yet. Clouds. Well, it's still pretty dark. Not much for us to see yet. Where are the search from Midway at? They're a pretty good chunk into their search pattern before we even get our aircraft off the deck. All right, Yorktown's aircraft are up. So maybe at 5 we'll send a cap up. I'm assuming those guys can fly for an hour or 2. I just don't know when a likely enemy air attack would be. Like, I'd be hesitant to put guys up for, you know, too early, because maybe they'd be running out of fuel by the time the enemy comes in on us. Okay. All right. I haven't done like a preparatory spotting of the deck yet, which perhaps I should, but I think they might have modified torpedo bombers to have a slightly longer range, although I'm not sure how long. All right. So at this point, let's go ahead and create a combat air patrol, 10 fighters, no rotations. So it only assigns 10 aircraft. Four hours between rotations. So I'm assuming we should be cut like 9 o'clock. They'd have an airstrike in on us by then, right? Let's push the cap out just a little bit range wise. Okay. We will also create a combat air patrol for the, I need a different carrier. You can do a combat air patrol with SBDs, really? I only have 7? Oh no, that's because we're reserving 14 aircraft, so we'll get rid of that. Really? It won't let me do more than 7? Why? Well, why am I still looking at Yorktown? I should have selected TF-17 or 16. Okay. All right. So we'll do that. So we'll get hopefully those decks ready to get those planes off. And then once the cap is airborne, then we can go ahead and plan our flight. Maybe I should have planned for that sooner. How long is it going to take to get them up? That's not too bad. 10 minutes or so. I'm guessing we're at least an hour away from being detected based on where our float planes are. We'll probably, okay, so we've detected an enemy task force here. I'm assuming that's the enemy carriers, at least one of their groups. I don't know where the others are yet. $13, 15 ships, 16 ships, 1 CV. Okay. Bearing 230, 220 miles. Enterprise should be just about ready to get these guys off, so let's go ahead and do a new strike. 423 nautical miles. Well, we're headed away. That's part of the problem. Yeah, we're still not in range of these torpedo bombers. Whatever, we'll go with what we can. I'd rather get the bombers off sooner rather than later. So we'll send 5 fighters with them. We will do deferred departure. What's the difference between standard and early spotting again? Prepared and spot on the flight deck at the expense of other operations? No, that's fine. Yeah. So that'll be for Enterprise. Hornet. We'll get their dive bombers off. Torpedo bombers will still be out of range. And it's not close enough that I can... Like, I need an hour, so it's not enough time to get the torpedo bombers up. We'll have to launch the torpedo bombers as a second raid at a later date. Hello, it's the developer in the chat. Good to see you. All right, so we'll do that. And then we will do a raid with the Yorktown. Will their torpedo bombers be in range? Not quite. They're much closer though, so I'm inclined to have them go with the task force. Maybe that's unwise. I ran into that last time where it was like, and all of your, you know, fighters didn't scramble in time because you were waiting for these guys to get in range. Okay. It's going to take 40 minutes to spot. Get some sleep. All right, so let's go ahead and spot these guys. Do we, if we look at the 3D here, is it nice and light out yet? All right, combat air patrol is underway from the Enterprise at least. Nav strikes from Midway are preparing. Combat air patrol is up. I think they changed, yeah, it looks like they changed the groups. The sections are now flights of 2 instead of flights of 3. See the ships down there. So Yorktown is spotting. So Yorktown isn't going to be able to fit everybody on their deck, even with the fighters that we sent off? Huh. Okay. So you're going to spot, launch, and then have to spot again. Which I think is what actually got us in trouble last time. Do they move them down the deck and then move them out this way? Interesting. This is going to be an even more scattered launch than historical then, based on what I've done probably. Because I think Hornet's going to be ready real quick to get their boys off. Eastern Island strike packages are out. Bogey. Can the fighters go get them before they spot me? It would be great if they could. I don't know if they can see me from this far off. Obviously the interceptors are going for this recon plane. Jimmy Thatch. I actually don't remember what his first name is. Going after the enemy recon plane. We could shoot it down before he can radio. Can he see us from this far away? Probably. I would think not. The advantage of pushing the cap out from the group a bit. Bandit Seagull. All right, there's the enemy aircraft. He's diving away. Oh, did they get him? I didn't even see. Looked like he did. I didn't even see him pull off shoot his wing off, but it looks like he's... Yeah. TF-17's been detected by an enemy air search asset. So they did spot me anyway. There's another one back here. Okay. Well, how long do we have? Yorktown is gonna take another, I don't know, 30 minutes to get everybody off the deck. I am assuming the enemy task force is over here. There's the Midway strike, by the way, which is already underway. I'm assuming the enemy task force down this way is not ready immediately to launch aircraft against us. Yeah, their decks are clear, so they will probably start to put aircraft on their decks to launch against us. They did hold half their aircraft back from the strike. So we've got one carrier here, two carriers here. Okay, well no, there's three carriers here. So what's this other task force the scenario says we're dealing with? All right, they're already starting to spot. I suppose they could be escorts, but... Well, all four. So do they have more carriers than we can see? I suppose those aircraft could just be part of a combat air patrol refresh. No one else is preparing to launch yet. I don't know. Also, what's the deal with not spotting any other enemy aircraft? Where are they at? Could they be to the south? I thought it's at our right flank. Our right flank would be this way based on heading this direction. But if it's the right flank of Eastern Isle, I don't know. But yeah, the Midway flight is underway. Where are they? All right, sorry. I'm sure this is real exciting to watch me like try to find the enemy raid. There we go. So here's the raid incoming to Midway. A lot of aircraft, as you can see. New enemy task force. Where? Oh, that's the same one we already spotted. Okay. Well, in any event, how's the spotting going on Yorktown? Making good progress. We should be launching here very shortly. It probably helps that we didn't order the... Well, we actually did order the torpedo bombers for the Yorktown on the deck, didn't we? Probably helps that we didn't order the torpedo bombers on the Enterprise or Hornet, though, so they should be done more quickly. Hornet's actually already taking off, so her aircraft are getting off the deck. They'll go in first, and then Yorktown has a little bit of spotting left to do. But I would assume it looks like we're about ready to start launching. I don't know if we'll have to greenlight the attack or not. We might. But this deck is nice and full. We're continuing to pour aircraft up on it. Is that everybody? Are we going to start taking off? Do I have to order them to take off, or will they just start? No, they'll just start. Cool. All right, so Yorktown's boys are going to start taking off well in advance of anything the Japanese are likely to throw out at us yet. Now, we are going to be a little bit hindered, perhaps, if we try and scramble. I guess we'll see. I've got the 10 combat air patrol up for each of the two of the 3 aircraft carriers. So we've got 20 fighters in the air already. We're shooting down enemy scouting aircraft, which I suppose is wasting fuel and ammo, which is not ideal. but all right, those guys are engaging. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Let's just, I'm surprised we haven't seen any other task force yet. Yeah, they're definitely preparing a strike now. I've got green aircraft. It'll take a little bit of time. They'll probably be off before our attacks come in, I would assume. Maybe the Hornet has a chance to hit them first, since their aircraft are already airborne. That's a destroyer. These guys are almost ready to start taking off, though, on this carrier. So they got one carrier that's close to being ready. The rest are not. But I think the Japanese are generally faster than we are, too, at getting aircraft off. All right, Buffaloes, do your thing. Don't be totally worthless. There's Midway back here. Okay. No radar sucks. We do have some radar. Our carriers have radar. How do I... Radar range right here. The radar is just shorter range then. Like we can't... They're outside our radar. But we do have radar. These guys do. Does Midway? It doesn't look like Midway does in this, but we don't control the Midway aircraft. All right, those guys are on deck. These B-17s are already in there en route. They're actually the lead formation here. These B-17s are climbing to altitude so they can drop their bombs at altitude that accomplish nothing. No, you can't play as the Japanese in this game. At least not at this time. Volume 1 is American carriers, so... Go get them, boys. All right. Here's the thing is, even though the game says planes will try and land at alternates, I suppose the Yorktowns could try and land on the other American carriers, but there's no way they're going to have the range to reach Eastern Island. All right, so what about our task forces? Where are we at? So these guys are still taking off. All right. Those are not me. Those are scouts. Wrong formation. Okay. The funny thing is, I think the Hornet's the one I sent the 10 dive bombers out as scouts, so their attack is going to be considerably weaker than it otherwise would be, but it is what it is. Did I say Easter Island? I thought I said Eastern. Is it Easter? No, it's Eastern. I don't think I said Easter. Certainly didn't mean to say Easter. Okay, fighters are closing in. I'm sure they'll be worthless. Good old Brewster Buffalo. Look at us, just flying behind this big old engine. Everything's fine. Hello, sir. Ooh, you got red goggles. Fashionable. You ought to be getting close. They're going to go head to head here shortly. So I hope our cap isn't using up all their ammo and fuel attacking seagulls. All right, Hornets boys are already airborne. Enterprise is almost airborne. Yorktown, I think, got their first grouping of aircraft off. And now they have to respot here. Or no, they're still launching. But they will have to respot for a handful of their aircraft. I guess, if anything, that's the one reason where it's like, maybe you do use your SBDs as scouts, because then you can actually spot your full task force. Did the Dutch get good results with their Buffaloes? The Finns did in 39, but that was a different war against a very different enemy air force. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high into the sky. Nice. We got the little name of the ship back here. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep those aircraft rolling, rolling off the deck, roll on. All right. Are the fighters there yet? They're probably already engaged. Not yet. They're searching. Mark one eyeball. Where's the enemy fleet? Oh, our task force. We're banking. Let's go get them, boys. Don't let those zeros chew you up. You can do it. I believe in you. I've got screening ships. Just so you can see them, I'm going to pause it because I want to watch this engagement. So if we look at Yorktown, screening ship right here. We got a cruiser right here. You can't really see the low hold ships all that well, but there's definitely, you can see the carrier more clearly from the perspective of the screening ships. So the cruisers are in closest, and then you got destroyers and such, but you can still see the carrier from here. It's still close. All right, back to the fighters as they're about to engage. I honestly forgot what button was the, not that. I forgot what button gets everything out of the way, the sort of cinematic camera. All right, here's the enemy task force. We're trying to dive, and you can see all these enemy zeros up here banking to turn to engage us. We're going to try and dive on these guys and maybe do some damage, or just fly through the formation and not even shoot. That's good. Other aircraft are diving in and trying to do something. You know, you got one good pass where you got a chance to do damage, and the fact that you didn't do anything, well, you're probably about to be zero meat. A little frustrating. That Buffalo got off, and that lead aircraft is smoking. Oh, nice, got it. One of the bombers going down. Why his wingman is not helping, I guess you can make the argument he's covering, but honestly, another one's smoking over there. And now we're off to the dive away from the zeros, right? Does anybody know, did any of the aircraft, any of the Buffaloes, I know like the Buffaloes were wiped out to a man, right? Did any of their pilots get rescued? Does anybody know? I know that the torpedo bombers, a few got picked up by the Japanese, and that was not a good fate for them. But I'm curious about the Midway planes that got shot down. Oh, zero on us. We took some hits to the fuselage. They're trying to bank and roll away. They're going to pursue us down to the deck. What's going on up here? What's the report? Enemy surface force. Oh, another task force spotted up this way. I'm thinking this might actually be the carrier task force, if there's another one. Of course, I've already launched like my whole force against these guys. You know, the Hornets aircraft might actually team up pretty effectively with the Yorktowns. Oh, these are all Yorktown. Where are the lead bombers here? So these guys are moving this way. Okay. So they might end up going in okay. We'll see. Yep, another carrier task force up here. So they've got a fifth carrier at least. What is it? What carrier is it? Is it like... Well, they're preparing a flight. Is this a light carrier? Is this one of the escorts? Is this the Shoho? What are they shooting at? Are they shooting at the recon plane that spotted them? Do they not have any escorts? Is it just the Shoho? There's got to be escorts. Can't just be one. You wouldn't do that. That would be one destroyer, one merchant, one carrier. It's got to be, first off, it's a CVL. I suppose it just adds another, 20 enemy aircraft, which it does make things more challenging, but I was hoping maybe it would be a little bit more. Oh, shoot. Wait, where am I? Okay, never mind. That looks like a full-fledged carrier. I don't know what carrier, but that looked like a fleet carrier. We're going to be in trouble, boys. So they got the light carrier here. There's a cruiser escort. Where is that other carrier we saw? I don't know. We're in trouble, boys. We're in trouble. Midway's not going to be able to hit those guys from there either. I guess the main focus is the 4 carriers first, but there are 2 CVs here, according to the intel. It's getting a little bit more clear as the plane's over there a bit more. They'll probably start flying off the deck soon. What carrier is this? Is this like Junyo or something? I don't recognize it. Is it Tsukaku? It doesn't look like it to me, but I could be wrong. I don't know if they've modeled other carriers, though, yet. So I guess we'll see. Well, we're definitely going to take a punch. Hopefully my cap isn't chewing through all their ammo and we can get our scramble back. Are these guys taking off yet? Do we know? I hear aircraft. Yep, they're already taking off. So this will be fun. The only saving grace is that of the four of the carriers have half their air wings deployed to Midway right now. So that is our saving grace at the moment. So 2 carriers launching, 3 carriers launching, 4 carriers launching. So this is going to be a punch coming our way. I don't know if I have enough fighters really to deal with it, but we'll see. Do we do the ahistorical thing and scramble our boys early, knowing that, hey, I've got the God's eye view. I can see that they're flying against me. Go, Wildcat, go. Do clouds affect visibility? Because this Japanese plane is charging on through the clouds against us. Yeah, these guys are getting shot up. Is anybody still attacking the attackers, or is everybody just diving away and flying for their lives? These guys all look like they're just trying to avoid becoming zero meat. I know we got at least one enemy aircraft. Sorry for giving anyone motion sickness. They're on your tail. Whoa. How many are back there? Jesus. I would probably not fly straight and level like that. It's just my 2 cents. Okay. These guys are all in the drink. Someone's smoking over that way. Scramble's orders are RTB. Okay, well, it looks like everybody's dead for the most part. Or dead or dying is pretty much what everybody's at. You are not engaging the task force. You are ditched. All right. The enemy bombers are about to hit. Feels a little gamey if I were to scramble my own fighters at this stage. All right, we got dive bombers taking off from Midway right now. So these guys are all preparing to take off. Here's some of our float planes who aren't out on mission right now. These guys are going to take a little while to get off. The bombs are going to be falling before they all get off the deck as these guys taxi. I love when these guys take off in formation like this. Like, that's such a cool... 3 guys wide just going down the runway. All right. Enemy bombers are coming in. Let's see what happens here. We got a bird's eye view. Aircraft at the foot of the runway. Aircraft moving across the runway. All right. They're bombing mostly offshore. Couple hit the corner of the runway. They're really hitting that. Like, oh, that's a center cut on the runway right there. Really focusing on the installations off the runway though so far. Okay. Can these guys take off with the crater in the middle of the runway? Looks like it. They're gonna go right through the crater? That seems a little... Lol. No big deal. We're fine. All right. They did a lot of damage to Midway's shore installations here. That's a more accurate raid than I've seen before. Mostly not on the runway, though. I think that's everything. I think those are all the bombers, so I think they're heading back now. Okay. How do we have any indication on how our fleet defense is going with our cap? Does it tell me anything? They're active. Okay. That's all it tells me. Oh, they're at 66% fuel. Okay. Large bogey 20 plus. 24 nautical miles? Where? I don't see anything. Okay. All right, everybody already launched everything except the torpedo bombers on a few of the ships. That force has moved southeast a little bit further. I would launch on them if I could, but I think they're actually out of range right now. You know what we should do is if we go to this deck here, all fighters to the flight deck for all of our aircraft carriers. I think that will aid in the scramble when and if it comes. I mean, it'll come. It's just a matter of when. But I think that'll spot the fighters so that they're ready to take off on a moment's notice. We've spotted the enemy carriers, so we have to assume they're going to launch a strike against us. We've seen them taking off, but again, it'd be sort of gamey to scramble against an enemy formation you have no contact with. I don't think it would be gamey, though, to put the fighters on the flight deck. I think that's a reasonable precaution. Okay. Single enemy recon plane. We're probably going to chew them up again. Hopefully our 20 planes that are on combat air patrol do not. Waste all their fuel. The red lipstick looks dumb. Yeah, I mean, it's set to what it is, but I suppose if we really do have 4 hours of fuel, we're about an hour and a half. It would make sense.
Romeo, Red Leader, Bogey, 20 miles. Angels 10 plus.
Where? Or is that? Who is Red Leader? Oh, this is a Red Leader. Red 10F. So 1 bogey. So they're just identifying. I'm assuming. Yeah, it's a seaplane. They're turning into the wind. Or no, they're completed launching. They're no longer turning into the wind. These guys are still turning into the wind. Although they were headed that direction to begin with. Okay. What do we got here? By the way, thanks for the follows, Dig and Mergim. Appreciate it. I feel silly holding off on the scramble, but I also feel
Vector 050, Romeo, Red Leader, Bogey, 20 miles.
Yeah. Shoot down the enemy snoopers, I guess. %50 fuel on that guy.
Vector 210.
Did I put 10 up from every carrier or just the 2? I think just the 2. 48% is low. I wonder if I'm assuming they burn more fuel when they're. All right, this is enough for me. We have detected 20 plus aircraft coming inbound from the direction of the enemy carriers. So to me, that is a fair reason to scramble from all of our carriers. Shouldn't take long either because we've got the aircraft already on deck. So if we go to the Yorktown and we take a look, we can see the fighters are already on deck, ready to scramble. So that actually gets them off the deck much quicker. I don't know if we will move in on the, like, hey, these aren't identified as hostile yet. I wish you could. I guess maybe if I contact 0120. So can I go to defensive air ops and order them to do something? Status inactive. What do you mean? Okay. So if I took Fido off charge, I could tell them to engage targets, but it doesn't actually give me an option to like mark an enemy, an unidentified formation as an enemy. Now my own planes are going to be going right by him. So I would think they would be like, hey, we spotted Japanese Zeros. They're not good guys. I guess we'll see. All right, so the Zeros are going to get up.
More than 80 miles, 270. More than 80 miles. Angels high.
Because one of the big things with these air attacks is the further away from the carriers you meet them, the better your chances, because it gives you more time to shoot them down. If you wait till too close, then they may not actually engage until the enemy is already in their bombing runs.
Romeo, many bogies.
Hey, Gray.
Sector 280.
I don't know. Maybe another hour? Okay. Our own aircraft's first wave is closing in on the enemy carriers, I think. They should be ready to bomb soon. Are these guys fighters? Are they investigating this unknown contact? There's 2+. They've got to be fighters. From our combat air patrol, maybe. Does this change my fighter direction now that I've got scrambled fighters up too? Yes, I do. Okay. So we have we've got 32 scrambled fighters up, or will have 32 up shortly, plus another 10. So 42 fighters. It's not going to be enough. It might blunt the attack, though, assuming they all engage. The problem is the 2 extra carriers up north are going to add another 40 or more, because I assume this carrier is going to be attacking with its full force. It did not participate in the bombing raids on Midway. Anyway, where are our dive bombers? I think these guys are probably the furthest in. Yeah. So Yorktown and Enterprise's planes are pretty much almost flying in together. Hornet will be out ahead. Yorktown launched torpedo bombers. The other 2 were too far away to do that. Oh, that's a lot of aircraft stacked up. All right, so what do we got here? We got 20+, 20+, 20+, or 10+, 20, 10+. So at least 40 enemy aircraft coming in here. Another 20+ coming in from the north now we spotted. So, yeah, we're getting hit from 2 directions. I just assumed the red lipstick, they couldn't smudge it off. But yeah, these guys, the first wave of ours should be getting close to bombing. Maybe the enemy aircraft won't be able to find enough deck space to land on their way back from Midway if we damage enough of their aircraft. Don't really care about the snooper. I want you guys to engage these guys. Enemy snooper.
More than 80 miles. Angels high.
Dive bombers are on the way in for this first strike. Not yet to the enemy carriers. Meanwhile, Recon's still at the 40, or are there more? 10, 20, 10, 10. What about the northern strike? How many are coming in from that? 40 aircraft coming in from the north. Okay. All right, our first group of interceptors here. At least they're directing onto the enemy. There's going to be a lot going on at the same time. Where do they go? They just vanish? That cap is way far away. All right, those guys, I don't know who they're engaging, but they're not. Focus on anyone I care about. All right, these guys are looking to engage the enemy. Here's the enemy formation here. Here are our Wildcats heading in. Diving into the enemy formation, cutting into it. Look at all those enemy aircraft headed toward us. Hopefully they don't have sufficient escorts. There's at least 1-0 there. Saw the silver wing. But honestly, don't get distracted by the zeros. Go for the enemy bombers. God, that's a large formation. 2 large formations. Guys, I know the zeros are a problem, but I really need you to shoot down the bombers. I suppose this initial wave will at least distract the zeros enough that they probably won't be in position when the other scrambles get up here. He's evading. Dive bombers are still. Turn on the cloaking device. I mean, I could just take over. I don't know that I really want to do that. But the game does give me that option. Get Thatch killed. It looks like he's climbing to maybe dive on them and attack, so I don't want to interrupt the AI if they're going to do that. They're definitely more accurate shots than me. Is he going for 0? Like, what's out front here? Whoa. Never mind, you got 2 zeros behind you, buddy. McCuskey's already dead. Cromlin's already dead. This guy's getting shot to pieces. He's probably about to die. This interception has not gone well. I don't think we've shot down a single enemy aircraft while we're getting 10 fighters destroyed. Yeah. Well, that's not good. He's diving on someone. Who are these guys? Are these torpedo bombers, maybe? Well, he got one of them. Good job, sir. Damage to second. That's a dive bomber there. Good job, Thatch. I'll name a weave after you. Well, hopefully they at least disrupted the enemy cap enough so that the follow-on scrambles will be... Oh, that's just in trouble. Man, you're taking a beating. You're doing exactly what I said to do too, ignoring the enemy and the enemy fighters and going for the formation by the looks of it. But if that hit was too much. Enemy zeros are intercepting our dive bombers in this first wave. So one of them dive around. No indication that we're actually at the target yet. Could you maybe shoot the guy in front of you? He's like right in front of you. Don't get yourself shot up. It's a lot of zeros. There goes one of the dive bombers. Hopefully they don't obliterate our formation. I don't know if I sent anybody out with this first wave who are escorts. I think maybe 3 or 4 fighters. No, we do have a few escorts. I think we had 5 of them, right? Are they doing anything? That guy is... Look, they're shooting up your formation down there. Get in the damn fight. You're not going to be able to turn with them. What are you doing? Tail gunner. Those zeros are coming in real close. They're just lining up one after the other. They really left a lot of combat air patrol behind. I don't even know where the Midway bombers are yet. He's sitting there right behind you, unless this is a torpedo bomber. It is, or dive bomber. Are we almost on the target? Like we're lined up as if we're ready to go. There's a wildcat diving through our formation. Is anybody going to make a bombing run? We should be real close. Yeah, we are getting chewed up. What about the enemy fighters? Where are they at? How far away? Still a little ways out. We've got some fighters trying to come down on them. We haven't engaged the northern force yet. Hey, you just shot down a zero. I saw the wing rip off through that horrible camera work of mine, I think. Yep, he's twirling down there. You can see him spinning away. Just saw enough 4 make a pass through that formation. Didn't look like it destroyed anyone. I think maybe there's a faint trail of smoke behind one of them. Yeah, you got one down here with a faint trail of smoke. I think we're going to be in trouble, boys. These guys seem like they're making it through largely unscathed. I know we've still got another 30 or 40 fighters coming up, but this is not a reassuring start. We're nosing over. So at least one of our dive bombers is making a dive. I don't see anyone else. Unless they've already dove. Is that a zero behind us? God damn. Well, this isn't good. Can they follow me into the dive like that? Oh boy. Well, you got your bomb off. I'm sure that'll miss. It missed. Wasn't even close. Whoa! We got some hits on a carrier over here, I think. At least one hit on this guy. So some of the bombers on this initial wave made it through. One Japanese carrier hit. Not sunk or anything, but we at least did some damage here. Okay. So the bombs from the Dauntless don't sink the Japanese carriers very quick. Torpedoes will, though. But the dive bombers will at least make the carriers kind of worthless. They, you know, they'll destroy the... This guy hasn't bombed yet. They'll destroy the deck. God, our dive bombers got obliterated. That is not a good result. To have that first raid go in and lose almost all of our dive bombers. Does not bode well. Is this guy gonna find anything? Or just get shot down? Get shot down. There's a carrier down there, but he's burning, so. Alright. What about these other flights? They're still on the way. How far out? They're still a little ways out. Enemy aircraft. Did they turn back? Did we somehow convince the enemy aircraft to turn back? They definitely still have their bombs. Why are they turning around and heading home? Is that a bug? I'm confused. That doesn't seem right.
Romeo, bogey sector 010, 20 miles, Angels 10 plus.
So the aircraft from the north are still coming, but these guys are returning to base. Why? I don't understand. Was the Yorktown not where they thought it was, maybe? And so they didn't spot it? That certainly is a possibility. I mean, it happened, was it Hornet? It is drawing our fighters away from the northern raid. Did these guys turn around too? I'm confused. I don't think we're out of range. Okay. I'm not going to complain about that right now. It seems odd, but I won't complain. All right, enemy carriers are down here. Our boys flying through the flak. The Japanese were well known for giving up easily. Yes. Historically accurate. Well, that formation looks like a mess down there. They got, I see one flat top heading this way, one heading this way, another guy heading this way. All right, they are, I think, engaging our dive bombers. I did see one plane spiraling away there on fire. So they are still, they've still got a combat air patrol up doing some damage here. The thing I don't like, this game like has you guys always fly past to then come back when you're gonna attack. Which if you're dealing with a combat air patrol, I would just say go in. So we're gonna fly past and then I assume we'll turn back and go for the attack. You can see enemy zeros swooping through the formation. Some of these might be returning enemy aircraft from the Midway strike, actually. Those guys down there might be Midway aircraft returning. Yep, I'm aware, silly putty. All right, so we're lining up to go in line. Enemy zero going up that way. Going vertical, going vertical. Are we gonna bank? Yeah, we're gonna bank. Where are we banking to? There's gotta be someone down there through the clouds, right? Whole formation's turning. Come on, guys, there's enemy fighters around. Let's not dick around. Nose over. Here we go. We've got a decent number of aircraft diving over on this attack. So unlike the last one, where it was very much onesie twosies because of the enemy cap, we should have a nice chance of doing multiple hits worth of damage to an enemy carrier. I'm assuming we're going for a carrier. Yep. Oh, someone else is bombing this carrier over there. Saw a near miss there. Several near misses. No hits yet. God damn it. No hits yet. One hit. Dead center. Is that it? That's all you're gonna do? One hit? Come on, guys. So we've got what? 2 carriers with 1 bomb hit in it? Nobody hit the other guy over here. That's just lovely. Oh, shoot. So there's 2 burning carriers. I don't know if this is the guy we hit before or what, but we've got another set of bombers diving. This carrier looks in worse shape. I see 2 distinct plumes of smoke and fire. At the very least, they won't be flying anyone off this carrier for a while. I would drop or nose over. You're going to shoot long. Another good hit there. That was a miss. So, whoa, I looked away just as like 4 bombs all straddled it. Doesn't look like any of them hit though. Well, one more bomb hit near the rear. So this carrier definitely is inoperable for a time. We've got a main fire right on its bridge, and then 3 on its flight deck. The other guy over here has 1 bomb hit, kind of a center of the flight deck. I don't know if it's operational still. Probably not. Do we have our torpedo bombers hit at all? These guys are coming in, I think, for an attack. They're turning. So we've got another flight here coming in. What about the torpedo bombers? Are they all dead? Oh, they dropped. I don't know if they did any damage. But it looks like the torpedo bombers made it through. I didn't see if anyone hit. But at least it looks like the torpedo bombers largely avoided the enemy cap. I'm wondering if that initial raid by, I think it was the Hornet, threw their combat air patrol off a bit. As historically happened with the torpedo bombers. Seems like all these guys are okay. Alright, we're diving on the target. I always like to be the trailing plane, so this guy looks like a short carrier. Going through the clouds here, so the one guy's on fire, the other one is badly damaged. I wonder if we're going to hit the already badly damaged carrier. She's at least burning. You can see through the clouds. I'll have to check and see if this is the one we pounded last time or if this is the 3rd flat top on fire. Bombs away. Miss. Alright, this is the one. Well, it might be different. I only see the one on the flight deck and then one just in front of the bridge. Yep, 3 enemy flat tops are on fire. This guy's real low in the water. I wonder if he took a torpedo hit. Bombs to the left of us, bombs to the right of us. This guy's real low in the water. I don't know how that didn't hit. But yeah, the front of the ship is low in the water for sure. So 3 enemy flat tops burning, 2 badly damaged. 1 maybe going to sink. This guy's so low in the water when the bow goes down into the waves, the flight decks, the hangar deck is almost awash. I think this one might sink. If not, I don't think it's flying anyone off anytime soon. The other guy, I think, almost only got hit by bombs, although he's pretty low in the water in the front too. This is the... I don't see any signs of torpedo damage. The lighting is hard. But I don't think any well... Yeah. Look at this. You've got a torpedo. You definitely got a hole right here below the waterline. So that's probably why she's low in the water. Did our torpedo bombers actually do good? Did the Devastators actually devastate? No hits below. No, actually, yeah, she got one in the front of the bow too. So 2 torpedo hits by the looks of it. On 2 separate carriers. I don't know if that'll be enough to sink her, but she's certainly like that. It looks like the hangar deck is awash almost. I don't know if she'll sink, but certainly out of action for a while. This one seems mostly fine. So 3 carriers burning. Any chance there's torpedo damage on her? No. Okay. So 3 carriers damaged, 2 badly damaged. I'd say that's a pretty successful strike, especially if those enemy air raids are turning back. Although, I just wonder if they got a bad, if because we launched our raid, if they just didn't find us because of the bad cloud cover. I don't really understand what happened otherwise. Can we, any chance, get our other torpedo bombers off? They're in range now. That's Enterprise. What's her? Yeah, so she should be able to get the planes off. So Enterprise is going to launch. I mean, we're going to start getting into... We're going to start getting into like piecemeal attack range here. Because the torpedo bombers are in range. Unescorted Devastators. Listen, if they've only got 1 carrier with a functional flight deck, after all those raids, there might not be much combat air patrol to speak of. Also, I don't know where our Midway boys are, but still nervous about these guys, but it doesn't seem like anyone is hit. There's no damage to Yorktown, so and these guys turn back. I don't understand it. How many fighters did I lose? Only 11 fighters left on the Yorktown. So we lost pretty heavily there. And only 37 dive bombers left between the Enterprise and the Hornet. So the dive bombers got eviscerated. That was like 50% casualties.
Romeo, enemy snooper. Vector.
You know, with all these damn snoopers, you'd think they'd have a better position on us, but
Red leader.
I'm not really complaining.
200, 20 miles.
Are these our boys or are these another enemy raid? Those are ours. Okay, our returning flight. All right, so we should be able to get those 2 torpedo bomber groups off just before the carriers have to switch over to recovery mode. I don't know, man. The scrambles did some damage to the enemy attacks, but I don't think they should have driven them off. It's almost like when we damaged the first enemy flight deck, they redirected themselves, perhaps before they actually finished their raid. I don't know if that's really what happened or if it was just a bad report.
Romeo, Red Leader, enemy snooper. Sector 270, 60 miles. Angels high.
Hey guys, you gotta get your... What are you waiting for? Oh, they're turning in the wind. Okay. Well, that's good too, because I think you need to be into the wind to recover aircraft too. So we're going to launch 2 Devastator raids pretty much in tandem. Although, I'm not sure why these guys aren't taking off yet. So spot... Okay, there we go. Okay, so we'll have about 4... almost 30 torpedo bombers all going in together. I assume the B-17s look like they're heading back to Midway. It looks like they're about to land. The B-26 is probably all ditched. We didn't even really look at them, but they all ditched. They all got shot down. The land-based Avengers apparently all ditched as well. So 6 torpedo bombers there. And then the Midway dive bombers. I don't know if they did any damage. I didn't see. But they're on their way back too. Okay, so the enemy carrier, this task force appears to have turned back. Or they're turning, maybe they're recovering aircraft. I don't know. So they put the fire out on this guy. Just the 1 bomb hit. This guy's still ablaze. A little bit higher in the water. They've got the barrier up. Oh, no, they don't. So I assume this guy's still operational. Did they put the fires out on the other one too? This guy who's low in the water, looks like they at least got the fire out. So he didn't sink. At least not yet. So yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know. 3 of the carriers may or may not have flight decks that are able to retrieve aircraft. It's going to be a little while before anybody's launching more air raids. There's 3 CVs up this way? How many enemy carriers do they have? And how on earth did we avoid that first strike? I don't think we'll have the punching power to do anything against the enemy. Yeah, this is like Junio or something. This is not one of the Shohos or whatever. I think this scenario assumes that the Aleutians carriers for that diversionary strike, or maybe they're the main invasion fleet's escort carriers, but these aren't escort carriers. These are like full-fledged carriers. So this must be the guys who were going to the Aleutians as the diversion, because they sent like 2 or 3 slower fleet carriers that way, I think. But somehow we dodged their raids. So everybody's going to have to retrieve aircraft and relaunch. The hope is that the Devastators can finish off a carrier or 2 to even the odds a bit. But I don't know if they all turn back or what. 2 of the Japanese carriers had torpedo hits, but I think they will survive based on the fact that they put the fires out and one of them is no longer even low in the water. But if we get another torpedo hit or 2 into them, things may change. We'll see. Our aircraft carriers are going to switch over into recovery mode now that our raids are making it back. I don't know who John Partial is. My understanding is the Junio was problematic as a fleet carrier because it was slow. So it couldn't really get up to the required speed to do everything it should be. But I don't know. I just know it has a slower top speed and War in the Pacific. And a smaller air wing probably as a consequence, despite the fact that it was still pretty big. I think it had like a 50 or 60 aircraft air wing compared to the other guys who were like 80 or so. 70 or 80. Alright, well, I don't know that Hornet will have much to retrieve. I think most of her dive bombers got shot down, but... Okay. Alright, can Yorktown anybody else? I think there's still... We've got 2 dive bombers on Yorktown. Enterprise has 7 fighters. And those are the only aircraft on our carriers right now. We've got a lot of enemy Seagulls, though. So they all turn back. And again, I don't know if that's for sure or if it's just because they're retrieving aircraft or something.
20 miles. Angels 10 plus.
Oprah and Vixen, thank you for the follows. Okay. Yeah, so this will be an interesting challenge because if we look at the actual aircraft that we have left to play with, while we did some damage to the enemy, we're down to 9 fighters off the Yorktown and 30 dive bombers. And then on the Enterprise and the Hornet, we're down to 40 fighters, which is still a reasonable complement, but only 37 dive bombers. So, I mean, those are the dive bombers, definitely our best aircraft. We've still got about 72 total between the 3 carriers. But that's a considerable reduction by almost a full squadron for each carrier, kind of number-wise. It is a very odd battle. I don't understand why the enemy turned back. Again, they wouldn't have been without fuel because the Japanese planes carried way more fuel than us. It is rough weather, cloud cover-wise, so it's certainly possible that they didn't see us, maybe? I've had raids turn back because they didn't see the target, but anyway. Dive bomber or torpedo bombers. I hope you're flying. Oh no. So these torpedo bombers might not, if the enemy really is heading this way, we may not spot them. We may have just flown those guys out to do nothing, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, I know we've only been going for about 2 hours, but I do need to wrap this up here tonight, so we will continue this tomorrow. Hope you guys are enjoying this look at the new scenario for Task Force Admiral. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out. Bye-bye.